In today's political panel, Tony Katz, a talk radio host, and Jose Aristimuño, a former DNC deputy press secretary. Gentlemen, welcome. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend.
Thank you. You as well, Mike.
Okay, let's start with some numbers on migrant encounters at the border. Fiscal year 2020, 458,088. Fiscal year 2021, 1.734 million. In fiscal year 2022, 2.378 million. How alarming is that trend, Jose?
Look, it's alarming. We've known that the crisis at the border, continues to happen year after year. But the only way, Mike, that I see this having a long-term solution, it's having Republicans and Democrats come together. There's no other way around it. We need border enhancement. I agree with Republicans on that. We need comprehensive immigration reform. We need to do something with the more than 11 million undocumented folks here in the country. But the only way we're going to do this if we put, partisanship aside and work together as a country. Let's put country first for once and for all and get this done for the American people.
Interesting. Okay, fiscal year 2023 started October 1st. The number of gotaways as of this week, 134,649, a daily average of 2693. That's not encounters. That's the number of people getting away from law enforcement. Tony, your thoughts?
Right. And that got-away number is an extremely important number. Casey reports about it. Cliff Jenkins reports about it. Bill Malugin reports about it time and again and again. And if we want to talk about coming to the table and doing this in a bipartisan way, I'm fine with that. We start with we don't allow illegal immigration. We have a zero-tolerance policy, which means, Jose, telling the Democratic Party that you can't be in favor of an open border, telling the squad they have to sit down. They're not the people who actually have America's best interests at heart, Jose. Hold on a second.
Said you want to That's a lie.
Jose, you must start with a zero tolerance policy on illegal immigration. Nothing can be allowed. And until that's the starting point,
we cannot close the border. That's just not the way America is set up and it works, man. It's not going to.
America is not set up properly to deal with the border. So I start with a baseline, the standard baseline. We don't allow illegal immigration. We can't agree on that?
So what about asylum cases? What about people who are dying in other countries and they want to come here through a regular due process?
Do we agree we can start with zero illegal immigration? Asylum cases and everything else are different subjects. We start with zero illegal immigration. Agree or not? We got to start somewhere.
We have record apprehension. So I agree with you. Let's if you're look, the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, went to Central America and said, if you're trying to come here illegally, we do not want you. Do not come. So we've been very clear, but the situation in this country is a whole lot worse than the United States. It's why they try to come to this country in the first place.
So
I agree with you. We should try to apprehend them and get them out. But we got to do it in a humane way and something that in a way that makes sense.
All right, Tony, let me pick up on a point Jose made about the opportunity for Congress to get something done. We have divided government coming in January, Democrats in the White House and the Senate, Republicans in the House. Sometimes that's gridlock. Sometimes it's an opportunity to lock arms and get something done. Maybe not full-blown comprehensive immigration, but maybe some of the lower-hanging fruit.
You're not going to see me mind it. You're going to see me absolutely in favor of it. Of course, it's a bipartisan issue. It's an issue that is seriously affecting Texas, seriously affecting border states, but of course affects my beloved Indiana and a lot of states, all the states across the country. They're not coming into Texas. They're coming into the United States. We must be focused on this. We have to end fentanyl coming into the United States, killing kids, killing adults, killing everybody. But it has to start with a baseline. You got to start somewhere and stop throwing excuses or exceptions at me. If we can't start with we don't allow illegal immigration, we can't get anything done. And until that's the baseline, we're going to stick in this gridlock.
House Republican leadership has argued that Alejandro Mayorkas, the DHS secretary, should resign or potentially be impeached. Jose, does that lead to a change in tactics by the administration?
Look, we've known the Republicans, when they were going to take over the House, they were going to do a whole lot of investigations, the president's son, Mayorkas, you name it. Let them investigate. I think that's fair. That's why we have democracy. I don't think they'll find nothing there because I don't think it's a Mayorkas issue. I think it's an issue, it's an immigration issue, it's a country. So I don't think they'll find anything there. I advise my fellow Republicans to focus on solutions for the American people. Otherwise, 2 years down the line, they're going to vote him out of office all over again.
Tony, your thoughts on resign or be impeached?
I think it's a great start. Clearly, Mayorkas has failed. Clearly, Vice President Harris, as the border czar, has failed. Clearly, the policies that they took away in the Biden administration have failed the country. They failed the country on the border. This isn't a debatable subject. This is in the black and white right here. So that Mayorkas has to go, and you need people who actually will engage policy that matters, including possibly a policy that Trump was in favor of. There's worse things in the world. If the policy worked, the policy worked. Stop worrying about the man and start worrying about the nation.
All right, we're nearly out of time. I want to get you guys to weigh in on something else, the crime crisis in New York City. And the New York Post reporting this morning that convictions in New York City, specifically Manhattan, are way down, plummeted under Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg. 52% of felony cases have been downgraded to misdemeanors, and that he has declined to prosecute more than 35% of felony cases. Jose, what's the impact of that?
Well, look, there's no correlation in more convictions meaning less crime. I think, first and foremost, when we talk about convictions, we're not saying these people are getting away, with murder. These people are getting either misdemeanors. They're getting some sort of apprehensive of what they did. So no one's, again, because Republicans are going to come and say, Democrats are letting criminals on the loose. That's just not true. But again, we don't need more convictions. We need smart convictions. All
right, more from the New York Post. When serious felony charges are brought, Bragg's office wins a conviction just 51% of the time, down from 68% in 2019, the last year before the pandemic disrupted the court system. Tony, your thoughts?
Well, I think that's an interesting conversation about how well equipped Alvin Bragg is to actually do the job. But the same things could be asked of what's going on in Los Angeles and San Francisco and Chicago and my beloved Indianapolis, where you have a common denominator amongst the prosecutors, and they've said they don't engage in prosecutions of crimes. That connective tissue is the political party that they're a part of. We do have an issue culturally. We shouldn't deny that. But if you are going to say publicly that we don't go after criminals, you are encouraging the criminal activity. And until that changes, nothing changes.
Tony Katz, Jose Aristimuño, gentlemen, no Thanksgiving weekend sleepiness. That was great energy. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Take care.